Everyone has their favorite video game franchise. Mine is Pokémon. I've always loved these games, they never get old to me. Just about every main series game is in my top 30 favorite games. There's never been a year that went by where I didn't replay at least one of them. I'll be doing as many Pokemon games that I can eventually, big and small. I'm finally feeling confident enough to tackle one of these games, so I figured I'd start with the most underrated of the RPGs, Pokemon Colosseum. That's a really hard word to spell. If you ever wanted a full Pokemon RPG on a console, two have already existed since the GameCube, being Pokemon Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness. They both brought enough different to the table to stand on their own, even if they both had a pretty mixed reception. Pokemon Colosseum was one of the first games I bought for my GameCube, because 7-year-old me was dying to play a Pokemon game on this thing. Even nowadays, I still find myself wanting to go back to this one every few years. Both Colosseum and XD do some really interesting things that have a pretty unique feel to the rest of the series. Let's get into why I like Colosseum so much. As a Pokemon trainer, it's your job as some random kid from some random town to go around the region, get 8 gym badges, become the champion, and... Not? You see this guy? This is Wes. Does he look 10 to you? Like, goddamn, how much more badass can you get? The only thing missing from this intro is a directed by Michael Bay graphic. Colosseum looks at the usual Pokemon formula and just shoots a Hyper Beam at it. There's no badges, no gyms, no HMs, not even wild Pokemon. You don't even pick a starter. You're just giving an Espeon and an Umbreon that are already level 25. After that fiasco, you pull in on your badass as hell hover bike to this train gas station thing. Two guys have some moving bag in the back of their truck. I'm sure it's fine. Oh wow, looks like the stunt you just pulled is already on the news. How convenient. After battling this Willy guy, he tells you to go to Phoenix City where there's stronger trainers. Alright, might as well. Hey, it's those two guys from before. You idiots, you can't just kidnap someone and go into a populated area. That'll get you arrested. Not that I would know anything. Hey, let's change the subject. After kicking their asses, turns out this girl named Rui was in the bag. These guys really know how to keep living things inside of bags. Lily should be taking notes from these guys. Nearby townsfolk suggest that Rui go to the mayor for advice about the peculiar Pokemon Rui mentioned. In an offer that you literally cannot refuse, you take Rui to the mayor's office. Some anime as hell person walks out of the mayor's house and has a feeling that they'll see us again. That probably won't be important later. Rui tells the mayor Escade about the Pokemon these two shady guys had and orders an investigation. He probably won't though. He suggests Wes head to the Phoenix Stadium to fight trainers. The stadium is conveniently closed and you're ambushed by the guys who stole from. These guys are Team Snag'em, the usual evil team that steals Pokemon and stuff. Team Snag'em created a device called a Snag machine that allows you to steal Pokemon from trainers mid-battle. It turns out that Wes used to be a member of Team Snag'em, no ordinary member either. He's their best snagger. You know, the guy the Snag machine was made for? I was wondering why that thing fits so well. If you're gonna be using that Snag machine, you're gonna need Pokeballs, right? Wait, what kind of Pokemon doesn't carry Pokeballs? You see, the Ori region, being this giant-ass desert, is pretty scarce when it comes to wild Pokemon, meaning that the average person doesn't need to buy Pokeballs, since Pokemon are usually just imported from other regions. So, how do you get Pokeballs? You buy them from Outskirts Stand. And only Outskirts Stand. Yes, there was only one spot in the whole game to buy Pokeballs from. After getting balls, you go back to the mayor's house, you run into the beautiful man known as Mirabee. My god, just look at that glorious afro. Wait, why are all these bad guys showing up at the mayor's house? Battle these guys again, and it turns out the peculiar Pokemon they have finally decide to show up. This thing isn't even afraid to attack people. It even has a purple status bar. It's gotta be important. You snag the Makuhita and go outside to find someone blocking every exit of town. At this point, you get to choose between being able to catch a Bayleef, Quilava, or Croconaw. The game doesn't really tell you this, and most people just catch Bayleef since it's closest. These weird Pokemon have the doors of their horde artificially shut, making them killing machines that aren't even afraid of attacking trainers. Rui is the only person that can see these shadowy auras these Pokemon have. The ones doing this is a group called Cypher. They want to rule the world using these corrupted Pokemon. So it's up to Wes and Rui to defeat Cypher and bring these Pokemon back to normal. The story isn't overly deep, but for the time, this is the most story we were gonna find in a Pokemon game. This was back in Gen 3, where the closest thing we had to a story was
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was.
The best part about the story is Wes. He's easily the deepest protagonist of the series. He not only looks like a wannabe Final Fantasy protagonist, but he actually has backstory. Wes used to be part of Team Snag, but you don't know why. Did he used to have evil intentions but turned over a new leaf? Was he an undercover spy the whole time? Is he still evil and was going to use a snagging machine for evil before meeting up with Rui? The game gives just enough character to him to make him interesting, but it still leaves it vague enough to let the player fill in the blanks. For a game like this, that works beautifully. It may not be much, but that's why it works so well. As for the actual gameplay, it's significantly different from the main series too. The most obvious is that the whole game is fought in double battles. It may not seem like much, but it's the main reason why I love Colosseum and XD. Double battles add more layers of strategy that single battles can't provide on their own. Earthquake hitting the whole field? Why not have your other Pokemon use Protect? Or why not just have a flying type where a Pokemon will levitate? It's really incredible how much the game changes just by having a second Pokemon in the field. If you've ever been a doubter of double battles, Colosseum and XD may change your mind. I really wish the main games had an option to have double battle for the whole game like this. It not only adds a layer of challenge, but another layer of strategy that feels really fresh. Another big difference is that your only means of getting new Pokemon is through snagging Shadow Pokemon. Yeah, the only way to get Pokemon is to steal corrupted Pokemon from other trainers. There's 48 Shadow Pokemon in the whole game, and with Espeon, Umbreon, Plusle, and another Pokemon I'll get into later, there's 52 Pokemon you can get, excluding evolutions. That's a really low number of Pokemon. That may be a turn-off to a lot of people, but that's another thing I love about Colosseum. It forces you to get creative with your team. This is probably just about the only game in the series where I can use a skip loom as actively contributing. I can put an enemy to sleep and dish out damage in the same turn. The limited selection wasn't tangent to the doubles only battles that gives Pokemon you wouldn't normally use a chance to shine. I would probably never use a pure wall that's just there to soak up hits, but since I can still get damage output in the same turn, it's a viable strategy to use. Hell, you may even like what you end up using. Never know. Shadow Pokemon function differently from regular Pokemon too. Once caught, you'll notice a whole gauge where the experience bar is, since they don't gain experience. The whole gauge depletes the more you use a Pokemon in battle, with their moveset and nature being revealed as the gauge continues to go down. Every Shadow Pokemon has a move called Shadow Rush. It's a 90 power physical move that does neutral damage against everything and causes recoil damage. It's a surprisingly reliable move, especially since you essentially have perfect neutral coverage. Shadow Pokemon can also enter a state called Hyper Mode. It eats up their turn when activated but gives Shadow Rush a much higher crit rate. But if you use anything other than Shadow Rush, they'll ignore your commands entirely. Pokemon also can't use items while in Hyper Mode. Using the new Call command will bring them back to normal as well as deplete more of their whole gauge. Call is basically just the do nothing command when used on normal Pokemon. It also wakes them up if they're inflicted with sleep, so don't even bother buying Awakenings. Once the whole gauge is depleted, what then? Well, if you take them to the shrine in Agate Village, you can purify Shadow Pokemon and return them to normal, gaining all the experience they would have gained while they were Shadow Pokemon. I really love Shadow Pokemon. They feel like this double-edged sword, and while it's ultimately better to just purify them, keeping them in Shadow form can still have its benefits. The game's world is structured differently too. Instead of having this interconnected world, there's just a world map to select where you want to go. Colosseum ends up being a lot more linear because of it. Not to say that's a bad thing, it's just more clear on where to go next. Although it's a bit weird to say this GameCube game has a small world within the games on the Game Boy Advance. At least there was no HMs in this game. Colosseum is pretty rough around the edges though. In most RPGs, you start out pretty weak, and by the end of the game, you're super strong. In Pokemon Colosseum, you start out already pretty strong. You can't even purify Pokemon until around 5 hours in, so a pretty big chunk of the game has this weird thing, but it doesn't feel like you're getting stronger. This sense of getting stronger happens, but it just makes the beginning hours feel weird to play. I really like battling, because this game has a lot of battling. Animations are long, there's pauses in between actions, and everything just feels slow. That's not to say it's unplayable. Just don't go in expecting the lightning-fast battle speeds of newer games. Oh, did I mention that you can only save with a PC? I never understood this. The main games let you save wherever you want, why not this one? I know it's not just some weird limitation either, because XD lets you save wherever you want. It doesn't make sense. Boss battles drag out way longer than they should, too. Just about every major boss in this game has a legendary Pokemon, and it's really weird having a legendary encounter that you have to catch mid-fight if you want to snag them all. My team isn't even fully evolved yet. Why am I trying to catch an Entei? If you fail to snag a shadow Pokemon, it can be a pain in the ass to figure out how to get another chance. Some you can just fight again, but most you have to figure out how to find them. Snagging every shadow isn't required to finish the game, but it is for some of the post-game stuff. It's just a pain if you do happen to miss one, and let's face it, you probably will. It doesn't help that there's only one place in the whole game to buy Pokeballs from. If you run low on Pokeballs, you're gonna have to leave the area you're currently in and go back to Outskirt Stand. The purification process can get pretty annoying too. There are 3 main ways to complete the whole gauge: battling, walking around with them in your party, and buying a bunch of expensive scents. Playing normally, you won't be bothered by it, but it's a pain in the ass to purify every shadow Pokemon. I've done it before and I do not recommend doing it. You can also use one of the one-time use time flutes to summon Celebi and purify them instantly. There's only like 3 of them in the whole game though. The graphics in Colosseum were just alright. They look pretty dated, but they're not terrible. Even at the time, they were better looking GameCube games. I mean, damn, this game came out a year after Metroid Prime. GameCube is capable of way more than what's being displayed here. It even reuses the Pokemon models from Stadium 1 and 2. Most of the obtainable Pokemon from Johto too, so you'll be seeing a lot of N64 models. Most look fine, but some... or Skiploom. I mean, just look at that entirely natural, not glitched shadow! The graphics don't really matter though. They don't look jarring, and I never even noticed a reused model until I was told about it and thought, yeah, okay, that makes sense, actually. The music is another story, though. The main games have better soundtracks, but Colosseum still has some pretty great tunes, like Mirube's theme and the final boss music. Also, I can't not mention Mirube. You know, that guy with the glorious Pokeball afro from before. Well, when he finally fought him, he not only has his own snazzy theme, but he also has 5 Ludicolo. Oh, and a Shadow Sudowoodo. Seriously, how did this guy become a Cypher admin? Game Freak, can you please bring Mirube to the main series somehow? This man is too amazing not to include. At least XD has more of this beautiful man. So after raiding the Shadow Pokemon Lab and listening to that annoying alarm siren that doesn't do anything, it looks like that new tower in the middle of the desert is done being built. You know, this place is pretty damn nice. Oh hey, it's Mirube again. Wait a minute. It turns out the Railgam Tower is Cypher's new base of operations. We fight all 4 admins again, and you can unlock the door to the Tower Colosseum. But before going forward, you should probably go back and talk to Rui's computer-illiterate grandpa and get the Master Ball. You remember the anime-as-hell person from the beginning of the game? Their name is Nazcor. They're the leader of Team Cypher. It's not out of nowhere, but they only show him like 3 times before this. Wait, Rui called him a him. It's a boy! You follow him up the elevator and it's Gonzap, the leader of Team Snag. I'm here to challenge you. You know, Team Snag'em hasn't showed up since the beginning of the game. I forgot they existed. This is a boss, isn't it? They're playing the normal battle theme, so I guess it isn't a boss? It's probably a boss. After that, you have to fight an Elite Four of sorts before you can fight Nazcor. You can't even heal in between fights, but they're not so tough after you snag their Shadow Pokemon. Aw man, why are you giving me a Houndoom and an Absol right before the end of the game? Come on, guys. Now it's time to fight Nazcor. The best part of this fight has to be the music, or lack thereof. All you hear is the cheers of the crowd. It gives it this strangely tense atmosphere. The fight is relatively easy, but it's also a really fair one. None of his Pokemon are stupidly strong, but none of them are weak either. It's a really nice challenge. Oh, come on, you have a Shadow Metagross. It may not be a legendary, but it has the same catch rate as one. Screw this, I'm just using the Master Ball. After Nazcor is defeated, the mayor of Phoenix City walks in. What the hell is going on? It turns out that Escade is actually named Evis and is the real leader of Cypher. Oh, that's why those Cypher admins were in his house. It was important. This guy is no slouch. This dude has a Scizor, a Salamence, a Machamp, a Slowking, a Slacking, and a Shadow Tyranitar. Oh my god, can you calm down with these strong-ass Pokemon? Once you know what to expect, he's nothing too bad. But this man, this monster, uses Skill Swap on Slacking. Slacking has an ability where it can only move every other turn, but in return it has stats higher than legendaries. Skill Swap switches abilities with this target. If you see his Slowking, kill that thing immediately. Give this thing any other ability and it's overpowered. If that thing gets off Skill Swap, you've pretty much already lost unless you're overleveled. Despite how annoying this fight is, I still really like this fight. You've really got to think on your toes and plan accordingly. It's challenging, which it should be. It's not the insanely hard kind of challenge either. It's the figure out how to kill a thing that's giving you trouble before it kills you challenge. With how long I've been playing Pokemon, I've always enjoyed coming over a good challenge in these games. and this fight definitely leaves me satisfied when I finally win. After Evis's defeat, he tries to escape on this weird helicopter thing, and Ho-Oh pulls a Deus Ex Machina and destroys it. Deus Ex Horonica? Why do we even need Ho-Oh for this? There was an officer right there, just cuff him already. The day is saved and the game just ends right there. Whatever. Post-game starts now. Nothing really too exciting though. You go through Team Snag's hideout and go through a new Colosseum. Get every Shadow Pokemon in the game, and you'll even be able to get a Shadow Togetic. Colosseum's post-game is really nothing to write home about. It's just there to get some extra Shadow Pokemon and not much else. But the main part of the post-game that I want to mention is Mount Battle. Mount Battle is hell. You fight 100 trainers, the lowest level being 35 and the highest being 60. It's not hard, just long, tedious, and boring. You can take breaks, but that doesn't make it any less boring. But if you purify all 48 Shadow Pokemon and then finish Mount Battle, you get a free Ho-Oh. For the biggest Pokemon enthusiasts that have to absolutely catch them all, this was hella worth it back in the day. Go through this long, annoying task, and you're rewarded with it then, event-only Pokemon. Nowadays, this is completely pointless. It may be a legendary, but it's so much easier and fun to just play through whole Gold or Soul Silver. But hey, if the masochist in you wants a Ho-Oh in Gen 3, this is your best shot without a Game Shark. Oh, and I forgot to mention that all that was pointless because you have to do it in battle mode, not story mode to get Ho-Oh. And you have to use your story mode team. It's not so bad doing it in battle mode since the Pokemon scale to your level, but it's still long and tedious for something that isn't even worth it nowadays. Oh yeah, this game includes a battle mode. There's not much to talk about here either. You can fight in Colosseum matches to get Poke Coupons to exchange for rare items and TMs, which you can just do in the main games anyway. What's really cool is you can actually register a team from the GBA games and use those instead. You can even go through Mount Battle with your GBA team, which, again, is pretty cool. It's pointless though since you don't get Ho-Oh out of it. If you're looking for a Pokemon game that's different from the usual structure, this is a pretty good place to start. Sun and Moon is a better place to start in this department, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. Colosseum is the usual length of Pokemon game, so there's plenty of content here, even if the post-game feels like an afterthought. It's not really something I would recommend to casual fans, but it's still worth playing if you're interested. And hey, if you like Colosseum, pick up XD Gale of Darkness too. It's the much better game and fixes virtually every flaw this game has, including more Mirror-B. Why is Mirror-B only in OA? Colosseum's always been a game I loved, and it's really the underrated gem of the series. It's not perfect, but that's not what matters. It's really the kind of game that strives on being different. This has been that Flame Assassin guy, and here's to my Pokemon Colosseum team. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next mission.